Okay, I hope everyone enjoyed the music this Saturday morning. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Christina Harrington. I'm with LA Metro's Community Relations Department. Thank you so much for coming to our second scoping meeting for the Arts District 6th Street Station project. For our next slide, you'll see in just a moment, we're gonna just cover a few basic housekeeping items before we get started today. This meeting is being recorded and it's going to be posted later on our project website, metro.net/artsdist6th station. That's metro.net/artsdist6th. And then if you need any technical support during this meeting today, you can call 562-413-0716 and Stacy will help you out. And then just to look ahead, we will be taking verbal comments after the presentation and you can submit them through our Q&A as well. We'll go over that in more detail. And then if you do need closed caption, we have that option for you. Just click the CC icon that should be on your Zoom controls at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And then if you do need interpretation this morning and this afternoon, you can click the globe icon that's also on the bottom of your Zoom screen. And please choose your channel of choice. We have Diana on the Spanish channel and Tomoko on the Japanese channel with us this morning. Okay, so again, looking ahead, when we do take verbal comments after the presentation today, each speaker will have 2 minutes to speak. And when you want to speak, if you're using the Zoom app to request your spot, just use the raise your hand feature. If you are dialing in, which I see at least one person is today, you would press *9 to raise your virtual hand. And then when it's your turn to speak, again, if you're on the Zoom app, you will be unmuted. But if you're dialing in, you'll hear your number called and you would press *6 to unmute yourself. And then with that, I'd like to turn it over to Brian Lamb. Thank you.
Thanks, Christina. And I just want to reiterate, thank you for taking some time this Saturday to join us for the second scoping meeting for the Arts District 6th Street Station. My name is Brian Lamb. I'm a transportation planner at LA Metro, and I'll be managing the environmental clearance for this project. So here's a brief agenda of our meeting today. We'll go over some of the project's need and objectives. We'll go over a project overview so you get an idea of what the project's all about. We'll go over some of the topics that the draft environmental impact report will be studying. We'll go over a schedule and when you can expect to see the draft EIR released. And we'll talk about, why are we here? What are we looking for today? And then we'll move into that public comment session. And so there are some overarching objectives that we're trying to achieve with the Arts District 6th Street Station project. We're trying to aim to support and improve the transportation, mobility, and accessibility needs of the Arts District, Boyle Heights, Little Tokyo, and the surrounding communities. We do want to integrate with Metro's existing and future transit network, as well as the planned pedestrian and bicyclist activities and projects that are in the area. And we also want to provide a transit station that is compatible with surrounding projects. And as you'll see, there's quite a few surrounding projects in the area. So here's an aerial view, just to provide a little bit of context of where the Arts District 6th Street Station project is located. You'll see in purple is the approximate station site. And then Union Station is a good kind of place marker, and that's off the screen, kind of where the yellow triangle is. But just below that is Division 20, which is shaded in green here. And the existing Metro Division 20 maintenance and storage yard is where subway trains are stored and maintained when they're not in service. But also going on in this area is the Division 20 portal widening and turnback facility project, and that's currently under construction. And that project is needed to expand the capacity of Division 20 due to the Purple Line extension. And the portal widening will also allow us to increase the frequencies of the B and D lines, formerly the red and purple lines. As you can also see, the proposed station site is also located just south of the city's new 6th Street Viaduct, shown in blue here. And that's also currently under construction. And then Amtrak, BNSF, and Metrolink tracks run to the east of the station site, and that's shown in yellow here. And so the Arts District 6th Street Station project is proposing to extend the current terminus of either the B or D lines, and those currently stop at Union Station and then turn around and head back on their respective routes. So what this project would do is extend the heavy rail tracks and provide revenue service into the Arts District to the proposed station site between 6th and 7th Street. And the trains would utilize the Division 20 turnback tracks, which are being constructed as part of the Division 20 portal widening and turnback facility project. And you can see those tracks on this graphic in the blue dotted lines stretching from Union Station, going through Division 20 to about 4th Street. And so as part of the Arts District 6th Street Station project, we would be constructing a new heavy rail station and an extension of the heavy rail train tracks to 6th Street. And so that's shown in the magenta or pink dotted lines here. And zooming in onto the project area a little bit more, as I mentioned, the Arts District 6th Street Station project will utilize the Division 20 turnback tracks. However, there is likely that there will be some need for track work changes. And so the extension of the heavy rail tracks that I mentioned is shown in blue here. And while design of the project is still in the early stages, locations of where track work changes may be needed are shown in pink over here. And the tracks in these areas are utilized by Metro, Amtrak, BNSF, and/or Metrolink. And so these changes, track work changes, will need to be coordinated with all those agencies. As you can see, the project area is also quite constrained on space, as it's situated between those existing tracks as well as the LA River to the east, and then buildings and development to the west. And so partial acquisitions may be required in some areas in order to extend the tracks to 6th Street. We will also be exploring a few potential station access options. And at the moment, we're eyeing connecting to 6th Street, Mesquite Street, and/or 7th Street. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of exciting projects in the area, in addition to the Arts District 6th Street Station project. On the Metro side, I've already mentioned Division 20, the portal widening and turnback facility project, which is located just north of the station site. But Metro is also environmentally clearing the LA River Path project, which is a multi-use path that will be a pedestrian and bicyclist path that runs alongside the LA River. And they are proposing a potential access point at 6th Street as well. On the LA City side, there's the 6th Street Viaduct currently under construction. And that's going to greatly improve the pedestrian and bike connectivity, as well as providing that vital connection to and from Boyle Heights. The city is also planning their park project, both on the east and west sides of the LA River. And these would be planned open spaces that are located near and under the 6th Street Viaduct. And I also wanted to mention that directly adjacent to the proposed station site is a private development, the 670 Mesquite development, and that would have office space, residential, and retail components. Not shown here is also the regional connector in Little Tokyo, but it is in fairly close proximity to the north, just off this page. And so as part of the environmental impact report, we will be evaluating all the environmental topics identified by CEQA in the EIR, and key impact topics are listed here. As we go through our technical studies and the environmental analysis, as needed, if there are any mitigation measures to reduce potentially significant impacts, those will be identified in the EIR as well. And so the EIR process was officially started on March 29th with the release of the notice of preparation. And so we're currently in a 45-day public scoping period. May 12th marks the end of that scoping period. And so all comments on the scope of the EIR must be received before May 12th. After that, we'll take all the comments that we've received through scoping, and that will help inform the environmental analysis and the technical studies. We do anticipate that the draft EIR will be ready for public review in the spring of next year, and public participation will be ongoing throughout the EIR study. And so what is scoping and why are we here on a Saturday? As I mentioned, we're in the scoping phase of the EIR, and simply put, that's just announcing the start of the environmental analysis, as well as introducing the project to the public. Now, this is the very beginning of the project, and so at this time, we're looking to receive public input. And we want to hear things about, the scope of the EIR, comments on potential issues that you may be concerned about in the area, help identifying project goals. So what do you want to get out of this project, and what do you want this project to achieve? And all the comments that we receive during the scoping period will be documented in the scoping report. And then, as I mentioned, those comments will help inform the draft EIR analysis. I do want to reiterate that the project is in the early stages and technical studies have not yet begun. So at this time, we may be unable to answer questions on technical aspects. And with that, I'd like to hand it back over to Christina Harrington.
Thanks, Brian. So like Brian was mentioning, we are in the midst of a 45-day public comment period that started March 29th and will be closing May 12th. So how can you submit your comments if you haven't already? Well, today, this scoping meeting is a good opportunity where you can provide verbal comments or type them into the Q&A feature. Or you can mail a comment, a letter to Brian, and his address is listed there. For those on the phone, you can mail it to Brian Lamb at LA Metro, 1 Gateway Plaza, mail stop 99227 at Los Angeles, California, 90012. That's also on our project website. You can also email your comments to artdist6thstation@metro.net, or we have an online comment form on our project website as well. And I saw in the Q&A, someone asked if we have a fact sheet to share. We don't at this time, but this presentation will be posted on our website around next week. And our website has a lot of information to share as well. Okay. With that, I'm going to hand this over to Jason Jackson from Ariano Associates, who will facilitate our verbal comment session here today. And he will walk us through the steps on how to provide your comments.
Thank you, Christina. Hi, everyone. Thank you again for joining us this morning. As you can see, we have a organized process for you. 2-minute speaker comments. We can receive speaker comments through a couple of different ways. If you're joining us with a desktop computer or screen, in which case you can raise your hand through the Zoom function at the tools at the bottom of your screen. You may also use the *6 feature if you're a call-inner, and we will activate your mic in both cases to give you an opportunity to speak. As also noted, we're receiving questions, written questions, through the question and answer feature at the bottom of your Zoom panel as well. Please, ask your questions. We'll do the best we can to respond to anything that's kind of basic, high level. But again, we will not be responding to technical questions at this time. We look forward to hearing from you. So we're going to be here until 1 o'clock today. So you have a lot of time to think about and process what's been presented today. And we will be reposting this presentation at 12 o'clock for any latecomers. So should you stick around and have further questions, want to review it again, there'll be an opportunity for that. So the mics are available. If anyone would like to provide a comment, we're here for you.
And Jason, actually, while we're waiting for that, something I forgot to mention, if you can sign into our virtual guest book, you should see the link in the chat feature there today. We just would love to see who showed up today. And then if you want to be added to our email list, if you're not already, we would be able to do that as well if you sign in there. And if you don't see the link, let us know and we'll drop it in there again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christina. And I will be making announcements again and again. So should any of this have missed you, you will hear from us again. So, but please think about the process, think about the station, what it could do for you, what you feel are some questions that you might have about how that process might work, some concerns you might have about how that process might work of a new station in the area. All of that information is good and will help inform this environmental document. So it looks like we have a hand raised from Gerald Wright. Stevie, if you'd like to open his mic. Gerald, you should have control of your mic.
All right, awesome. It's Gerard Wright, transit advocate. Also wearing many different hats, but glad to see that this project is moving forward. Also, I'm curious to see some of the details in terms of the connection of pedestrian access because of the 6th Street Viaduct. I know that's something more technical you can't really get into at this point in time, but I'm curious as this develops how that looks, because that's going to make a big difference on the project. And also just access to 7th Street too, figuring out how to bridge those gaps so that this station will be well utilized and has access to many different destinations along the way. I'm also curious as to the connection to Santa Fe Avenue, which is kind of the main north-south street in this particular area. That's kind of, still has its funky industrial look, but it's also becoming, because of the transition in the area, becoming more trendy, figuring out a way of improving those pedestrian accesses, but also accesses through the local buses, because excuse me, on 6th Street, I think the viaduct's going to impede upon some of the connections unless you come up with something, stop right on the bridge, the new viaduct bridge, or somewhere on 7th Street where it's going to be a little cumbersome without that direct access. So those are just two of the thoughts that I'm thinking about. But again, that's more technical. It may be something that you are looking at as you move forward. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about this project, and thank you also very much.
Thank you so much, Gerard. That's a great set of comments there. Do we have any other comments at this time?
Oh, actually, you just asked, or not asked, but just something else just occurred to me. Please. I know it's probably more on the technical side, and it wasn't touched on. Funding. I know that downtown LA has some EIFDs or some tax increment financing strategies that are going on. And I know that might be separate from this particular project, but what are some of the sources that Metro is currently, I shouldn't say what they're spitballing in terms of how to fund the station.
Hey Gerard, great question. We're at this time we're not throwing anything out. We currently only have funding for the environmental clearance, and so we're looking at partnering with the city for funding and possibly P3. So there's a lot of different pathways that we plan on investigating as we move forward into the environmental.
Okay. All right, great. Look, again, we'll keep me posted. Now, whoever I come in contact with that is interested in the area, I'll keep them posted as well. Thank you so very much.
Thanks.
So we do have another call in, Niche. You have the mic.
Yeah, hi. My name is Nish Krishnamurthy.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Nish Krishnamurthy. I'm a Arts District resident, and I had three questions here. First, a simple one, like, is the line proposed, or is the proposed line to be above or below ground? And will the another question is, like, is there any room to connect the station, or sorry, connect the line to the new Little Tokyo station? Because it seems like if you're trying to go west from the proposed Arts District station, you kind of have to go like a roundabout ways. Like you have to go, like, it's kind of circuitous, right? Like you have to go through Union Station and then come back down and stop at a few sites before you get to the 7th Street station before you can connect to like the Expo line or whatever, right? Like, so there's that. And then third question is, like, will this line, is there any plans to perhaps connect it to the proposed line that's supposed to cut through Southeast Los Angeles? So yeah, those are my three questions. Thanks. And thank you for doing this, by the way, I appreciate it.
Of course. Do you think we can go to the slide with the project map? That might be a good discussion point. The one after this. Oh yeah, this one. So Nish, let me see. Your first question was what grade it would be at. We are looking at grade. So as I mentioned, we're trying to utilize the Division 20 turnback tracks as much as possible, and those are currently being constructed as part of the Division 20 project. And so those are tracks that connect from the red and purple line, come out following this blue dotted line, come out of a portal near Commercial Street, and then they're at grade through the Division 20 yard all the way to about 4th Street. And so we'll be utilizing those tracks and then extending a little bit further to 6th Street. And so this is going to be, it would be Metro's very first at grade heavy rail station. And I know that it's been done in other places fairly commonly, but it would be LA's first.
Okay.
And as you can see here, regional connector connecting to the Gold Line. We do not have plans on connecting to there. So a transfer that would have to occur would be at Union Station and then switching over into the regional connector. And kind of related to that, I believe we were talking about the Gold Line East Side extension. Is that correct?
Well, I guess I was talking more about if you want to like head west, right? Like, I guess what lines do that? I guess that's the Expo line, or I don't know what y'all are calling it anymore. E line. And then I guess that's it, right? I guess the red and purple lines both head west as well. So yeah, I guess I guess I just answered my own question there. So I guess yeah, I guess you answered my question. So for the most part, you're saying that if they want to connect to the regional connector, they're just going to have to do it at Union Station. But otherwise, there's no like proposed like maybe stop at like around like First Street, like where you can connect the Little Tokyo or connect to Little Tokyo via like some sort of like walkway or something like that. I guess that's not kind of like proposed.
Yeah, at this time, that's not something we're looking at. And so, yeah, as you mentioned, a transfer would need to occur at Union Station.
Okay. And then, yeah, my third question was about the proposed Southeast Los Angeles line. I don't know what y'all are calling it, the Santa Fe line or something like that. I forgot.
Oh, the West Santa Ana branch?
Yes, that's it. Sorry. Is there any plans to perhaps connect this line to that?
So I know for West Santa Ana branch, they're evaluating 4 total alternatives, but 2 alternatives in the downtown area. At one point, there was an alternative that connected, that potentially connected at 6th Street to the red or purple line. That alternative has been taken off the table. And so as part of the environmental clearance for West Santa Ana branch, there are no alternatives that would connect at 6th Street.
Okay. Where would that line connect through?
It would either be Union Station or 7th and Metro Center.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Christina, it looks like we have a question in the written form.
We do. So we have a question from Serena. Brian mentioned that the new extension would connect to either the B or D lines. Is this an either or? If so, why not have both lines connect?
So Serena, that's also something that we need to analyze further as part of the environmental. But one of the major things that we're going to need to look at is how operationally the line could run through Division 20, and whether the capacity and the available space and the track layout can actually successfully operate both the B and D lines. And so we'll be looking at that as part of the draft EIR. But at this point, we are looking at it's likely either or.
Okay, so some good questions there. Do we have any others? It's we're at about the first half hour here. Again, we will be repeating this presentation at the hour. So at noon, we will review the presentation. But you may provide comments either through Zoom by raising your hand, and then we'll open your mic, or if you're a call-in, you can dial *6 and we will be queued to open your mic and invite you to participate. Looks like we have another one, Christina, from Amjad.
All right. Have you considered a stop at Division 20?
Hey, Amjad. So as part of the Division 20 environmental document, they did look at a few options. So you might be remembering they did look at an option at 3rd Street, kind of within the heart of Division 20, and they also looked at 6th Street. As part of the feasibility analysis that they conducted, they recommended that that 6th Street is a preferred option, both for the operational complexities of Division 20 and having a 3rd Street station might cause, as well as the space constraints within Division 20. And so based on that recommendation, we are moving forward with this 6th Street option. And so as part of the EIR for this Arts District project, we're only looking at the 6th Street station.
Stevie, perhaps we can loop the presentation while people are thinking of questions. Actually, it looks like we have another one from Nish. Christina.
Yeah, so Nish is saying, do you have an estimate as to how the traffic/passenger counts at this station might compare to the downtown metro stations?
At this time, we do not. We haven't yet started our technical analysis of the station, and design of the station is still ongoing, and it is very early in its early stages. So at this time, we don't have that information, but it'll be part of the draft EIR.
So while we're waiting to see if there's any other questions that might come about, another reminder that if you hadn't had a chance to sign in to the online log, please look to your chat screen, and you can actually use the login there, and that'll take you to the form where you can sign in. Anyone who signs in today will obviously be included in future notifications for the remainder of this project, and we definitely encourage you to do so that you receive the next meeting invites and other updates that we might push out for new information updates. But we will be here. So today's a good day for you to ask questions. Please feel free to let us know what's on your mind, what thoughts you might have about this proposed station. Even just to say you're very happy that this is being considered. That's good feedback as well. So it doesn't need to be overly deep necessarily, but we look forward to the complex questions as much as anything. And obviously the deeper the questions, the more input we receive, the stronger this draft environmental document will be for this process. Looks like we have a raised hand from Matthew. You have the mic, Matthew.
I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I'm excited for this project. I'm excited to have a station in the Arts District. I know that your current scoping is limited to this and no further extensions. I just want to say that I would be interested in seeing preliminary projections or something on continuing all the way, well, not all the way down the Harbor subdivision, but even just getting to Slauson and connecting with the soon to be former Blue Line and West Santa Ana branch, I think would add tremendous utility. But I know that's not in what you're looking at right now. But if there were to be some sort of preliminary ideas of future extensions, I think that would be useful for the public to see why this is important first step. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Great comment. Thank you, Matthew. So again, in case you missed it, for those of you that are on the line, we will be sharing this presentation as well as this recorded meeting and the first scoping meeting from a couple days ago in the coming week. Please feel free to look into that when it is posted. It will be on the website. And share the message with the public. The comment period for this process will be running through May 12th. So obviously sometimes it's hard in the moment to think of a comment, but we are here for you today. But if you should think of a comment tomorrow or the next day, we look forward to hearing from you sometime during that comment period, and that will be, all comments will be included in the draft environmental document.
And Jason, we have a comment from Andy. Hi, please share any intentions on integrating bike infrastructure into the design or amenities of the station, especially as it relates to the bike infrastructure of the 6th Street Viaduct and how to make cycling more seamless. Thank you. I'm a 15-year homeowner in the Arts District and have been very excited for this. Thank you for your comment, Andy. We will definitely take that into consideration for the environmental impact report.
And obviously we have a small group here, so it's easy to spot these, but we do encourage you to use the question and answer feature for asking questions. And that way we could just use the chat function to share with you messaging and links to the website and other content as need be. But we definitely appreciate your feedback, Andy. Thank you. And we encourage you folks, when we do post the scoping meetings and you have an opportunity to go back and see what other folks had commented in the first session, you may be interested. Some of these comments are coming up again, so it's good to know what your community has to say. So if you're curious, please look for that in the coming week. So on screen for you right now are the methods in which you can comment after the meeting. Obviously, you may submit your comments by mail directly to Brian, address on screen. We also have an email, again, art.dist6station@metro.net. That's our email. We look forward to hearing from you. And then, of course, with all Metro projects, there's always a comment form through the website, and that is at metro.net. Arts DIST 6th Station. We definitely look forward to hearing from you. And please, this meeting is obviously something that not everyone will be able to attend. And obviously we have a smaller group than we did the other night, but we look forward to you sharing and letting your neighbors know, your coworkers know that this process is moving forward and that the comment period is open through May 12th. and perhaps somebody else has something else to add and would benefit from knowing, and maybe they just hadn't heard about it. So we encourage you to share. Word of mouth is a great way to let the people know that this process is in motion. And so anything you can do to let people know, we'd love to get their involvement as well. Thank you.
And Serena also submitted another comment. Thank you all. I'm incredibly excited for this to finally happen. Thank you for that. We are glad you're here.
Looks like Nish has another one, Christina.
Yeah, thanks, Nish. Are there any plans to use the Metro Micro program at this station? And I'm gonna, unless Brian, you have a response to that, I think that's a nice consideration for us in the EIR. So thank you for that, Nish.
Looks like we have another one from Andy.
Yeah, I love it. Feel like it's percolating and people are thinking more. So Andy wrote, thank you for holding this meeting. I will spread the word to my neighbors at the Molino Street Lofts building nearby and encourage comment. Many of us support a station and want to see it through, not just for the Arts District, but for neighbors in Boyle Heights as well. Thank you for that, Andy. Really appreciate you spreading the word. It means a lot. We do a lot to push out the information and invite people to these meetings, but it means so much different when a neighbor invites their friends. So thank you for that.
So again, for those of you still on the line, we appreciate you hanging with us. Brian will be reviewing the presentation again, so perhaps that will spark another thought for you. That will start at noon. And we will be available until 1 o'clock for public comments. So perhaps you have a associate or someone that you think might benefit from this process. You can let them know we're going to be here, and they'd have another opportunity to participate while we're on the line today until 1 o'clock. Looks like we have a comment from Bronson in the chat.
Yeah, thanks, Bronson. So you just got here. Welcome. If you missed it, we are going to be reviewing the presentation again. So no worries. You won't miss out on the information that was shared earlier.
And then Nish has another comment in our question and answer session. And Bronson, before we switch to Nish, I just want to let you know, question and answers, please feel free to use the Q&A session. That way we can share links and other things in the chat function and kind of push information out to you as well. But this is an hour that's all yours to provide comment.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jason Jackson. So Nish, you have written, I also suggest that you all reach out to the Arts District Little Tokyo Neighborhood Council if you haven't already. I'm sure they'd offer relevant insight. Perhaps deliver a short presentation at their May 11th meeting. Yeah, thanks so much for that, Nish. We actually have been speaking with Nancy Yap, the president of that neighborhood council, and we were scheduled to go to their meeting this month, but unfortunately it was canceled. So looking forward to meeting folks on the board. Again, I believe there'll be some new board members. So thanks for that suggestion.
So Bronson, I did also want to just mention to you as someone a little bit later to the party, we have the ability to take in comments today that will be included in the document. Technical comments we obviously will not be able to respond to. It's a little too early in the process, but should you have something a little bit more basic to the schedule and whatnot, we will be sure to, of course, respond to you and let you know what that is. Looks like we have another one from Bronson. Christina, if you'd like to take that.
Yeah, thanks. So Bronson, you wrote, so what I've read so far, the proper, or perhaps the proposed station would be near the 6th Street Bridge, roughly near the current Lucky Brand store. Is that correct? So close, but let's, perhaps we'll start our presentation again, and then Brian can review more about the project map and the other objectives. help clarify things.
Sure. Let's go through the presentation one more time. So here's just a brief agenda of what we're going to be talking about today. We'll go over the project need and the objectives that we're trying to achieve with the project. I'll go over the project overview. So Bronson, you can get a good idea of what the project's all about and what we're currently looking at. I'll go through the draft EIR topics and what we'll be studying as part of the EIR. The environmental schedule and when you might expect to see the draft EIR for public review, the purpose of the scoping meeting, and then we'll move back into the public comment session. So here are some of the overarching objectives that we're trying to accomplish with the Arts District 6th Street Station project. We hope to support and improve the transportation, mobility, as well as the accessibility needs of the Arts District, Boyle Heights, Little Tokyo, and the surrounding communities. We want to integrate with Metro's existing and future transit network, as well as the planned pedestrian and bicyclist improvements in the area. And we also want to provide a transit station that is compatible with surrounding projects. So here's an aerial view to provide some context of where the project is located. Union Station is located just off the page to the top right, approximately where the yellow triangle is. And then just south of that is the existing Metro Division 20 maintenance and storage yard in green. And this is where subway trains are stored, maintained, and washed when they're not in service. Also happening at Division 20 right now is the portal widening and turnback facility project. And that's currently under construction. And this project's needed to expand the capacity of the Division 20 yard. And that's due to the Purple Line West Side extension. We're going to need to be storing and maintaining additional heavy rail train cars, as well as it'll give us the capability of increasing the frequency that the B and D lines can run. As you can see, the proposed station site is also located just south of the city's new 6th Street Viaduct, shown in blue, and that's currently under construction as well. And then to the east of the station site are existing Amtrak, BNSF, and Metrolink tracks. And so the Arts District 6th Street Station project is proposing to extend the current terminus of either the Metro B or D lines, and those currently stop at Union Station. The project's proposing to add revenue tracks into the Arts District to 6th Street at the proposed station site. And so trains would utilize the Division 20 turnback tracks, which are being constructed as part of the Division 20 portal widening and turnback facility project. And you can see those tracks in the blue dotted line here, and those extend from Union Station south through Division 20, and they stop approximately around 4th Street. And so as part of the Arts District 6th Street Station project, we would be constructing a new heavy rail station and an extension of the heavy rail train tracks down to between 6th and 7th Street. And so zooming into the project area a little bit more, as I mentioned, the Arts District 6th Street Station will try to utilize the Division 20 turnback tracks as much as possible. However, there will be some track work changes that are needed. And so the extension of the heavy rail tracks is shown in blue here from about 4th Street down to 6th or 7th Street. And design of the project is still in the very early stages, but the approximate locations of where track work changes might be needed are shown in pink. And the tracks in these areas are utilized by Metro, Amtrak, BNSF, and or Metrolink. And so these track work changes will need to be coordinated with all those agencies. As you can see, that the area is quite constrained as it's situated between the LA River and these existing train tracks to the east and buildings and development to the west. And so partial acquisitions may be required in some areas. And at this time, we're exploring a few potential station access options from 6th Street, Mesquite Street, and 7th Street. So in addition to the Arts District 6th Street Station project, there's a lot of other exciting projects that kind of are coalescing in this area. On the Metro side, I've already mentioned the Division 20 portal widening and turnback facility project to the north, but there's also the LA River Path, which is a multi-use path that's currently in environmental clearance. And so this would be a pedestrian and bicyclist path running alongside the LA River. And the project proposes to have a potential access point at 6th Street. On the city side, there's the 6th Street Viaduct, which will improve the pedestrian and bike connectivity in the area, as well as providing a vital connection to and from Boyle Heights. And the city is also planning their park project, both located on the east and west sides of the LA River. And these are planned open spaces located under and near the 6th Street Viaduct. And then you'll notice directly adjacent to the proposed Arts District 6th Street Station site is a private development. That's the 670 Mesquite development that would have offices, residential, and retail components. And then not shown here to the north of the page would be the regional connector in Little Tokyo that is also in fairly close proximity. And so as part of the environmental impact report, we will be evaluating all the environmental topics identified by CEQA. And so key impact topics are listed here. And as we go through the technical reports and the environmental analyses, any mitigation measures that are needed to reduce any potentially significant impacts, those will be identified in the EIR as well. So the EIR process officially started on March 29th with the release of the NOP. And we're currently in a 45-day public scoping period that lasts till May 12th, excuse me. And so all comments on the scope of the EIR must be submitted before May 12th. And then after that, we'll take the comments received through scoping and we'll begin our environmental analysis and the technical studies to support that analysis. We anticipate that the draft EIR will be released for public review and comment in the spring of 2022, and public participation will be ongoing throughout the study. So in case you didn't know what scoping is, as I mentioned, we're currently in the scoping phase of the EIR, and that's just simply put, it's that we are announcing the start of the environmental analysis as well as introducing the project to the public. And this is the very beginning of the project. And so at this time, we're looking to receive input and feedback on the scope of the EIR, any comments on potential issues that you may have concerns about in the project area, help identifying the goals, the project goals. So what do you want out of this project? And all the comments that we receive during the scoping period will be documented in the scoping report. And then these comments will help inform the analysis that goes into the draft EIR. I do want to reiterate that the project is still in its early stages and technical studies have not yet begun. So any technical questions we might not be able to answer at this time. And I'll turn it over to Christina Harrington to go over how you can comment during the scoping period.
Thanks, Brian. So as Brian was saying, we are in the midst of the scoping period, which is a 45-day public comment period that started on March 29th, and it will close on May 12th. And as Brian mentioned, all your comments are informing the environmental impact report. So as Andy was saying earlier, please share it with your neighbors, your friends, and so it can really help inform and shape our studies moving forward. It's super, super helpful to know what y'all are thinking out there. So the ways you can submit comments are today during our comment session, which has happened earlier, but we'll leave it open until 1 o'clock today for any more verbal or written comments in the Q&A. You can also mail in a comment to Brian. His address is there on the screen, or email it to us at artdist6station@metro.net, or submit it through an online comment form that is on our project website, again at metro.net/artsdist6station. Again, the comment period closes May 12th. And then with that, pass it over to Jason again to facilitate any comments coming in. Again, if you want to submit a written one to us today, right now during the meeting, please use the Q&A feature. The chat, we're trying to just use to send you messages. The Q&A feature it's a little bit more organized on our end, so we don't miss anything in the stream. So thanks for that.
Yeah, so there is one new comment in the chat function, and it's from Jennifer Hines, just mentioning it'd be great if we could post the slide with the other projects. And Jennifer, we will be sharing this presentation as well as recordings of both the first and this second scoping meeting next week. So that will be available on the website for you for future reference. There is a raised hand from Nish. Nish, the mic is yours.
Yeah, hi guys. So I just want to also, so first off, I work for South Coast AQMD, where I am the project lead for the East LA, Boyle Heights, West Commerce, AB 617 community. And I just want to make sure that y'all are aware that that this project is actually located within the just within the western boundary of that community. And so because of that, you guys can be, y'all receive priority for air quality projects that were of priority to, that were prioritized by the community steering committee for that community. So one of the air quality priorities of this community is for zero emission trucks. And so because of that, that prioritizes y'all for Prop 1B funds or Carl Moyer funds, or for Community Air Protection Program funds for infrastructure that would support zero emission trucks or zero emission like buses, right? So some of the comments that y'all received earlier were about improving connectivity to like the Boyle Heights area. So I can imagine that if there was some sort of, if y'all proposed or applied for like funding for like charging infrastructure for buses that for routes that serve like the Boyle Heights, East LA area, that y'all might actually be prioritized for that funding by those funding pots. So there's that. And then a question, so that's just one comment. And then just a question was, is there a proposed timeline as to when the station might be completed? Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Nish. That's really good information to have. As for a construction timeline, we don't have that at this time yet. As I mentioned earlier in our meeting, we currently only have funds to complete the environmental document. And as we move forward through the EIR, we'll be having discussions with the City of LA, as well as other potential funding sources to try to get construction funds allocated for this project. Sorry, I can't be of more help and give a more solid timeline on when this might open.
No worries, thank you. And actually, if y'all don't have any other questions, can I ask another or make another comment? So another air quality priority of that community was regarding emissions from metal processing facilities. And so if, again, for those stations that are within the East LA, Boyle Heights, West Commerce, AB 617 community, if there's any like metal processing that's going on at your, either at this station or at this station, what do you call it? Not the station, but that project site just north of the proposed project, like
Division 20.
Yes, Division 20, that's right. If there's any kind of metal processing facility and metal processing going on there, y'all can also apply for funding for air filtration systems or pollution control equipment that will limit those kinds of emissions, like emissions of toxic metals or like fugitive dust into the community. Like that is a project priority as well. And so actually one thing I'll do is in the Q&A, I'll just I'll include a link to the community emission reductions plan for that community, and y'all can take a look at it and see like what might apply to y'all's activities in your that's located within the community. Yeah, just take that into consideration. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Nish. That'd be very helpful.
Yeah, we can pass it along to our Division 20 team as well, who's working on the construction site there.
Yeah, sounds good.
And I did want to take another minute just to remind folks that if you haven't had a chance to sign in yet to receive future project updates, please reference the chat box for the link to sign up, and be sure to be included in future meeting and other notices that we push out for this environmental phase of the process. And again, on screen for you, for those of you that should have a thought after this meeting's over, we will have the comment period open through May 12th. We definitely would like to hear from you. You can send direct written comments to Brian at the mail address on screen, Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, 1 Gateway Plaza, MS 99-22-7, Los Angeles 90012. You can email us at artdist, D-I-S-T, 6th station at metro.net, or you could use the website comment form at metro.net/arts, D-I-S-T, 6th station. And we definitely look forward to hearing from you. And looks like we have another comment from Nish, Christina, and another one from Bronson, if you want to read those.
I'd love to. So Nish, thank you for that link to the community emissions reduction plan for the East LA, Boyle Heights, West Commerce, AB 617 community. Really appreciate that. We'll pass that along and consider that. Bronson, has a station just north of First Street been considered? That small industrial neighborhood bordered by First Commercial and Alameda Center Street will eventually become more developed and in need of access to the B and D line. Walking to Union Station or the proposed 6th Street station could be a slightly too far walk for the average person, greater than a half mile. Thank you for that comment, Bronson.
Bronson also added something in the chat there, Christina.
Bronson says, of course, the Little Tokyo station will be accessible, but that's only one direction. Thank you for that, Bronson.
Brunson, I can add that as part of this EIR, we are not looking at a station north of First Street. However, in the past, I know West Santa Ana branch, another metro project, did have an alternative in that area, kind of passing through that industrial area. That alternative has since been removed from further consideration in the EIR, EIS-EIR for that project. But as part of the technical refinement report for the West Santa Ana branch, a station there was evaluated. So if you are interested, the West Santa Ana branch project may have additional information related to that.
So Christina, looks like we have another one from Bronson in the question and answer.
Thank you, Bronson. You wrote, is the Division 20 yard too crowded to potentially allow the station to be near there / north of the 6th Street Viaduct? Seems slightly too south for where the current core of the Arts District is, but I understand there's a lot going on there. Brian, I think you might have touched upon this earlier too, so maybe for Bronson's benefit.
Yeah, Bronson, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Division 20 does have a lot going on, and it is an active rail yard. So we need to look at the Arts District 6th Street station, both from an operational standpoint on being able to run revenue service to the Arts District, as well as maintaining the Division 20 yards maintenance and storage operations. So there is a lot going on, but I do want to mention that design of the Arts District 6th Street Station project is still early. So it is possible that, you know, what you see today might, the station platform may shift north or south, but those are things we're going to need to design and evaluate further as we move through the environmental.
And Christina, Nish has shared the AB 617 page for the team's benefit.
Thank you, Nish.
Looks like we have a question from Matthew. Thank you for being with us, Matthew. Let's get you a mic. There you go, Matthew, you have an open mic.
Thank you. Yes, I just, in regards to a previous question where you said that it was likely to be either the B or D that would go to the Arts District and not both, that that it should be the B, that it should be the red line, that the Arts District should connect to Hollywood. More importantly than, I mean, obviously all the destinations are useful, but that it would be most important to connect to Hollywood. That's all.
Thank you, Matt.
So we're getting some great questions here. We really appreciate those of you that are still on the line, staying with us and being thoughtful to add your input. We still have time until 1 o'clock, so we'll be here for you. Again, you can raise your hand using the Zoom feature, or if you're calling in, dial *6 to alert us that you'd like to leave a comment, and we'll be sure to open the mic for you. Looks like we have another one from Bronson Christina in the chat, or the Q&A, excuse me.
Thanks, Bronson. I clearly missed this, but why is only the B or the D? Seems like both would be a home run.
Yeah, I had mentioned that a little bit earlier, Bronson, maybe before you had joined, but it's kind of related to the operations of Division 20. We need to look at both maintaining the long-term operational needs of Division 20 as well as serving the Arts District. So as part of the environmental, we will be looking at what is physically feasible on whether we can run the B line or D line, or potentially both. But based on the track configuration and the space that is required to be able to run both at the desired headways, those are things that we would need to evaluate further.
And then
Looks like Nish.
yeah, right before Nish speaks, I just want to note that I believe on our slide with the project email, we might have been missing an S after the word art. So if anyone's emailing, please know there should be an S after the word art. So it's arts, DIST at 6th station at metro.net. But if you go to our website, it'll be correct on there. So apologies for that. All right, Nish.
Yeah, just to pick up on that previous question. So are y'all saying that it's still under consideration as to whether both the B and D lines will service this station? Like that's still like, that's still being considered, right? Like it's not certain that it's only going to be one or the other?
Yeah, we, as part of the environmental, we'll be looking at operating plans and what's feasible with the track layout. So at this time, we haven't yet run train simulations and developed the operating plans yet, but that will be considered as part of the EIR.
Okay, and like I guess it's a separate question here. Like earlier, you had mentioned like financing for this station, like that hasn't been determined yet. Is that part of the EIR? Is that topic discussed in the EIR, or is that just something different altogether?
That as part of the EIR, we will have rough order of magnitude cost estimates. But the funding plan won't be discussed as part of the EIR.
Okay, so I guess the question is like, you had mentioned some methods to fund this project, but like I was wondering, but you did not mention like Measure M funds, or what was the fund before that, Measure R? Like you didn't mention either. Is there a reason why neither of those are being considered?
I wouldn't say that they are not considered. I just don't know personally the ins and outs of what categories of funding might qualify to fund this project. As you know, the measures have fairly strict guidelines on how the funding is allocated. But yeah, I wouldn't say that the measures are out. We'll be looking at all funding opportunities to try to get the station built.
Okay. Just one other question, sorry. Is uh, value capture being considered, right? So like this area has a lot of new developments going on. I guess like a few companies have recently set up shop there. Just yeah, a lot of new construction. And I was wondering if value capture is being considered to help pay for the station.
Yeah, that has been discussed as well. So it is on our radar, and like I mentioned, the funding discussions have not progressed very far as we're just getting started with the environmental clearance of the project. But that value capture has been floated. The idea has been floated.
Does LA Metro do that anywhere else in its jurisdiction?
I am not sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Christine, I just wanted to point out that Bronson did have another comment about an elevated platform.
Yeah, thank you. I was supposed to read Bronson. You wrote maybe an elevated platform to allow for increased capacity without interfering with the other tracks below. Thanks for that idea, Bronson. We will include that in our consideration. And I think we have a raised hand.
Gerard, you have the mic.
Great. I just as I'm listening to and just hearing all the questions again, just reminded me one consideration that's not technical, but something to record for when and if this station finally comes online, to be named after Tom LaBonge. And the only reason I'm saying bringing this up is during its history, it was, so he was influential to bring back the subway to Los Angeles in terms of being able to study it, being able to fund it, thinking about, expanding the Purple Line as we're seeing right now on Wilshire Boulevard. And this was also a key station that he looked at way back in 2003, 2004, but just something to throw out there for consideration when it's finally completed, when it's finally up and running, it's operational, that it'll be named out, or at least a portion or a plaque be named in his honor, because he has been influential in getting that through. And we lost him earlier this year, so it adds a little bit more to the consideration.
Thank you, Gerard.
So again, you do have us for another 30 minutes. We'll be here till 1 o'clock. No need to rush through your thoughts. Take your time, but if anything else does come to mind, we'd love to hear from you. You can raise your hand through Zoom, or if you're a call-in, dial *6 to alert us that you'd like to leave a comment. We'll obviously show some of the aerials and so forth, just to give you kind of some food for thought as we sit here and wait any further comments. Thank you. Looks like we have another raised hand from Nish. We can open his mic. Nish, you have the mic.
Yeah, so looking at this map, you know, I realized that the area just east of the river, Loyal Heights, like, you know, that's a predominantly like warehouse district. And most of the residences are like east of the 5, right? So I just hope that, like, you know, when you consider this EIR, that it's kind of paired with, or this consideration is given to perhaps, like, you know, bus connectivity to the Boyle Heights area, you know, to the residences, to the actual neighborhoods, so it can give them access to that station, because it's not very walkable for, you know, average Boyle Heights residences. It's, you know, at least, you know, looking at this map here, I think it's about a little over half a mile, and they have to walk under 2 highway bridges. So yeah, that's not really safe or fun. So yeah, I just hope some consideration is given to, you know, more like frequent bus access to the Boyle Heights neighborhoods east of the 5 in your EIR. I think that's really important to give them better access. And also, might I add the Metro Micro, because even though I'm, you know, I lived close to the First Street station, or sorry, the Little Tokyo station before it closed down. Oftentimes, like, you know, at night, it wasn't, even though I lived like half a mile away, it was kind of, you know, it freaked me out sometimes to walk back late at night. So I think that Metro Micro program is really cool. That I don't think that existed, you know, 2 years ago. So yeah, just consider, appreciate if y'all considered more connectivity, bus connectivity, Metro Micro connectivity to that station. Thank you.
Thank you, Nish.
Looks like we have another one, Christina, from anonymous attendee.
All right, we have a comment. Currently, Union Station is where all passengers must disembark when a train is done with passenger service. Is this project going to move enforcement of disembarking to the Arts District, or is this impact being considered as far as where the last stop would be?
Yeah, that kind of depends on what the operating plan ends up being. For instance, if it's only the B line, for instance, that goes to the Arts District, then as the B line train goes out of service, it would likely go out of service at the Arts District station. And at that point, any passengers on the train would disembark in the Arts District. But then let's say in this scenario, the D line still terminates at Union Station, then it would maintain that disembark requirement, and then the train would then head into the yard from Union Station.
And another comment from Bronson. Does Metro expect that one day this proposed extension would reach further beyond 6th Street and potentially south/southeast towards neighborhoods like South Boyle Heights or even as far as Whittier? Perhaps the Washington Boulevard corridor? Obviously, this would be many years down the road. Thank you for that, Bronson. It's a good question. And that will be part of our reporting. So thank you for that consideration.
So again, taking a moment just to remind everyone of our scoping process. This initiated on the 29th of March. We had 2 scoping meetings, this being the second one, first on April 14th. Our scoping period will be going through May 12th. So if you have a comment after today's meeting, which will be ending in about 20 minutes, we definitely encourage you to submit that in written, email, or online comment form through the website. Environmental studies and analysis will continue to take place through 2022, and a draft EIR will be prepared in the winter with a spring release of that document and a follow-up comment period and public hearing on that document. And we definitely look forward to everyone that has participated today and joining us for that hearing. We look forward to seeing you again, or speaking with you again, possibly seeing you again in person. That would be great. So please, keep that in mind. And if you haven't already, we look forward to you signing in today so that we can make sure and send an invite to you at that time.
And just a reminder, there's a small typo on that email right there. There should be an S after art. So it should be arts, DIST, 6TH station at metro.net. If you want to submit a comment after today via email as well. And it was just dropped in the chat, the correct email.
Looks like we have a hand raised from Nish again. Stevie, if you'd like to open his mic. Nish, you have an open mic.
Hey, since no one else is asking any questions, I thought I'd ask this. Not particularly relevant to the EIR, but I was just kind of curious as to like what was the impetus behind the station. Did the community members just reach out to Metro to request this, or did y'all just kind of identify on your own that this might be a good area for a new station, that there would be, like, yeah, like, do y'all just kind of do that on your own? Just kind of curious.
Yeah, there's been a lot of support for a station in the Arts District for a long time. So this station in particular, heavily supported by the City of LA and Council District 14, as well as many of the business and residents in the area. So there was a lot of political support for the project. But you know, as Metro, we do see value in providing this extension into the Arts District, as it's historically a transit desert. It's pretty difficult to get to the Arts District via transit currently. So it was kind of a accumulation of a lot of things, but we're excited, and I know a lot of residents are excited that you know, this project is finally moving into the environmental clearance phase.
Yeah, as you can tell, I'm excited as hell. But like, I'm so like, a question here, like, if you know, if there's like an area that I personally think should have a better transit, or just have, you know, transit related questions, who do I reach out to? Do I really reach out to my, like, I guess, a representative of mine who might sit on the Metro board? Do I reach out to like my council member, or what? Like, what would you suggest?
So I can take that, Brian. So a couple of things. If you have general questions about Metro service, transit in your area run by Metro, any resources related to that, you can always contact me and my team. We're the community relations team. We're here representing all parts of LA County. My team in particular covers Central Los Angeles. So if you live in the Arts District, that's part of Central Los Angeles. But yeah, if you have other things you want to see in your neighborhood, the Metro Board is comprised of locally elected officials. So definitely encourage you to reach out to them, your county supervisor, or if you again live in the city of Los Angeles, the mayor and other folks from the council.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And if you do want to reach out to us directly, the project email goes directly to me and my team, but I'll just put in my personal work email too. And always happy to connect about anything.
Great, thanks so much.
And
This
it
is
should
really
look, I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, it looks like Bronson has extended a hand to you as well in the chat, just to point that to you. And Steve, if you want to open up Bronson's mic, they can connect directly as well. Bronson, you have a hot mic as well.
Hey everyone, long time, first time. Happy to be talking. I actually had a random comment that, can you hear me okay? Everyone hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Oh,
we
okay.
can hear you.
It's a weird delay on my end. But I just had a not 6th Street related comment, if that's cool. I was looking, it's still related to the D line. But I just felt like it might be wise to look into extending the D line past the VA station to more stations, potentially reaching over to Santa Monica Bundy, and then reaching south to Expo Bundy, which could potentially link up obviously with the Expo, the E line, which could also link with the future Sepulveda transit corridor. That is, if we decide to go with heavy rail. You know, if it comes down through UCLA station, it could share tracks potentially at Wilshire, Westwood, VA, and then extend to Santa Monica Bundy, and then create a 3-line terminus at Expo Bundy. I just thought that would be a really good way to connect, you know, the valley with the west side and downtown and the south portion of Los Angeles. Yeah, that's the end of my comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Bronson.
And Stevie, I don't know if we might have indirectly cut off Nish early. I was hoping to keep both mics open in case they needed to communicate real quick. But perhaps you can open his mic up in case he had something else there.
Nish's mic is still open.
Okay.
He just muted himself. Mhm.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, I think that was, oh, I keep saying that's it, but like maybe another question come to mind. But no, I was good. You didn't cut me off. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
that though.
No problem. So just to let everyone know, we have about 7-8 minutes here left in our meeting today. There are a number of other methods in which you can comment if something should come to mind after this meeting, either directly by mail to Brian Lamb, email dist6station@metro.net. That link is available in the chat, and you can find it online on our website. And then you can go to the website at metro.net, Arts Dist 6 Station, for an online comment form, which is probably the most direct way to send your comment to us. At least it's the quickest way for us to receive that input. The comment period will be open until the 12th of May, so a lot of time left, but we definitely look forward to hearing from you, and thank you for participating today. We will be here for another 5-10 minutes, so please share if you do have something else in mind. Looks like we have another from Nish. Stevie, if you could open his mic. There we go. Nish, you have a hot mic.
Thanks. So I had a question about like the SQL analysis here, right? Like, so I guess this is more of a question for Brian. I guess I was wondering, like, if you could just kind of like discuss here or talk about like what considerations y'all take or consider or about like how the station would what do you call it, like I guess to what extent it would induce or promote like transit oriented use versus versus using a car, right? Like I'm guessing that's something that y'all consider when y'all do a SQL analysis, right? Like in terms of like emission reductions and stuff that might come from the station. I was wondering if you can kind of like talk about that a little bit. I'm not very familiar, so I'm guessing it's as simple as that, but just kind of curious if you can talk about that.
Right. Can we go to the slide with the topics? And then also, I don't know if Peter Feldman, are you still on the line? So Peter is one of our environmental consultants working on the project. But just to briefly go over your question. So these
Brian,
are kind of,
Brian, can you hear me?
oh, hi, Peter. Did you hear,
Sorry.
no worries. Did you hear Nish's question?
I'm not sure I did, sorry. There was
Nish,
some commotion in the house. Sorry, can you
oh,
repeat?
no worries. Nish, did you want to repeat that? Peter, I think, would be able to better answer your question.
Yeah, so hi, Peter. So my concern here is regards to or my question here is regards to when y'all do your CEQA analysis, like what considerations do you take into account as far as like air quality improvements that will come from this station, right? Like, so I can imagine one of them would be reductions in use of, passenger vehicles or miles traveled or whatever through passenger vehicles, like stuff like that. I was wondering if you can kind of talk about how this station, or what y'all consider or take into consideration as far as air quality improvements that will come from the station.
Yeah, sure, Nish. And I'll just preface by saying I'm not an air quality specialist. I'm more of just a general CEQA specialist. But you're correct in that the primary benefits that we would capture in our analysis would be VMT reductions. The other benefits that we would capture would be energy savings from mostly from reduction in vehicle use. But those would be the two primary benefits that we would capture in our analysis. Other than that, certainly in terms of quantification, that would be for the most part what we would capture. Our analysis would also take into account some of Metro's green building initiatives that to offset construction period emissions. But those are the main items that I can think of off the top of my head.
What are the green building initiatives? I don't know anything about that.
Oh, okay, so Metro has a green building policy, which essentially establishes, kind of minimum requirements for construction equipment, some practices, dust controls, that sort of thing. Again, not an air quality expert, so I can't really go through the entire list, but it's the name of it is the Metro Green, I want to say Green Building Policy, but that doesn't quite sound right.
That's fine.
I know it has yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find it right now on our website to drop in the chat too.
And so I think there's a greater acknowledgement now about like the role of land use in contributing to bad air quality here, right? And so I was wondering if this because of this plan, because of this project, does Metro have any say in the zoning of land kind of close to the station, or can y'all just only offer suggestions to the City of LA planning as to how they
certainly more the latter, yes.
Okay.
Metro has no control over land use and zoning, other than if some kind of zoning amendment would be required from a project by the city. Yeah. And actually similar things have come up in the last meeting, just sort of related to how Metro and the city might be able to work together to identify the arts district, or at least the area around the station, as a TOD or some other kind of benefit zoning wise.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's good to know. And just one last comment here before I bounce. And sorry, I don't mean to take up too much of your time here, but I'll just comment that I often go running along Santa Fe, and by y'all's the construction sites off of Central Street and Duocumum Street I can't pronounce the name, but anyway, that construction site, the odors from y'all site is really bad. It's nauseating, and so I would like to just point that out, that I hope y'all take greater care to make sure these odors from y'all's construction sites don't emanate out into the nearby community, because it can be pretty bad. I've pointed this out to my neighborhood council before, and shortly thereafter, I noticed signage posting about if you have air quality complaints or odor complaints from this construction site, to please contact South Coast AQMD. but I don't want it to come to that. So just in advance,
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all taking care of that.
Yeah, thank you, Nish. We'll pass that along to our construction folks. But it is 1:03, so I just want to read out Bronson's comment before we close out. Bronson said, "Can we make sure there's plenty of shade at this new station? Standing in the hot sun waiting for the train makes me yearn for my car's AC, and that's not an instinct I want to have." Agree with you, Bronson. Thank you for that comment. And so thank you all today for joining us on a Saturday, no less, for the second and last scoping meeting for the Arts District 6th Street Station project. Again, the slide you're seeing is how you can submit comments after today if you have more ideas. And again, thank you so much for joining us, and stay safe and have a great weekend, everyone. And thank you, Brian and Jason, for supporting our meeting today. Really, really appreciate the presentation and facilitation. So thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you.